Hi, James and Natalie. Thank you for being willing to be part of our May Mission Month series. Could you briefly introduce yourself and what God has called you to do?
Yeah, awesome. So as Warren just said, we are James and Natalie. 12 years ago, God really did call us to Papua New Guinea to serve with Wycliffe Bible translators. We've been up in Papua New Guinea ever since. Natalie served there in the clinic as the lab tech. She's been serving the missionary community as well as the Papua New Guineans within the surrounding area. So it's quite a big catchment area, about 30-odd thousand Papua New Guineans. And I've been serving as a pilot within the aviation department and flying all over Papua New Guinea.
And more recently, God's called us back to Australia. So I'm still working with Wycliffe in their human resources department with new members and returning members. And James is getting some more pilot qualifications.
So, COVID-19 is affecting all of us. It's had a huge impact on us. How has it directly impacted you in your ministry? And how are you seeing God work through this?
Yeah, great questions. COVID-19 has had a huge impact on us and the mission up in Papua New Guinea. For us personally, it's meant we had to leave in a huge big hurry, much sooner than we'd planned. We left a lot of things up there undone. There's quite a big mess we walked away from. And it meant too, emotionally, we didn't get to say goodbye to a lot of people, a lot of friends up there, and I guess we didn't get to leave the way we wanted to. We basically packed 4 bags and we flew out on the last available flight out of the Eastern Highlands province into Port Moresby before the travel ban came into effect the next day. Aviation and the clinic have since been shut down and are now only just starting to reopen. So it has a huge, big flow-on effect up in Papua New Guinea.
But we saw God working in all that, in his provision for us, in the midst of flight cancellations and travel bans and borders closing. We just found we just had to trust God in every moment as things were changing. And a lot of people have similar stories. We're really grateful for that. And a big impact on the missionary community and the ministry in PNG was how many expats left. There are quite a few that have left temporarily and some permanently, and that has a big flow-on effect. And we're not sure what impact that's going to be, but we can see God's been working ahead of all this in all the training of Papua New Guineans in Bible translation and how that's continuing on now. And how that will continue on in the future. Yeah.
So the next question is how do you interact with people in your own community in an intentional way?
Well, I guess our current community has drastically changed for us. We are keeping in touch with people in Papua New Guinea through WhatsApp and email and are grateful to be able to do that. We love the technology that's now available and the better internet connections. And it's helped us maintain connections up there, and we still have input with a lot of people up there. And some people up there are really facing tough times, so it's been a real encouragement that we can still do that for them and with them.
Yeah, and I guess we're trying to find a new community here in Cairns. That's where we are at the moment. Doing church online, lots of phone calls, emails, Zoom, birthday parties. I'm also helping out at Cairns Hospital that needed some extra temporary staff during the pandemic. So that's really new, a really new community for me to be a part of. So I'm starting to build relationships, with people there.
It is really difficult for everyone, isn't it? Look, could you share how would you express your faith within the space? Obviously, you were in a space in Papua New Guinea. Now you're in a space in Cairns. How can you relate in those ways?
Yeah. Again, another great question, and it's been fun, challenging, all the same coming back. And at the moment, it's hard. I mean, we're in a different culture since coming back to Australia. It's like coming back to a new country for us. It's complete with a new culture shock that we're faced with, that I didn't really know we would be faced with it so strongly. We need to work out how things here work again and the best way to share our faith. Thankfully, though, we have had training in PNG, which I find has helped us go into a cross-culture, and we know the questions to ask cross-culturally on how to enter another culture, and I'll be talking a bit about that on Sunday. Yeah, there we got to do a 14-week cross-cultural training course. We don't get to do that coming back here, which I think we need to. But my theory is that when God is in you, he just finds a way to come out and touch as many people around you as he can. It's very hard though. We've had to socially isolate ourselves for 4 weeks, and I just find that that's important to speak to others about Jesus and how important he is to us in any situation that we find ourselves in. We're doing that.
Yeah. So I guess for me in the lab, just a couple of days a week, it's just about being interested in other people's lives and learning out what's important to them, and speaking openly about why Jesus is important to me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as a church, we really want to continue to support you guys in whatever God is calling you to. How can we best and most effectively do that for you?
Yeah, it's been really tough, admittedly, emotionally tough, to come back to Australia and re-enter life here and leave PNG. That's been our home for a while. So we're really grateful for Carter Fight's continuing financial support during this transition and trying to find our feet. It's incredibly encouraging to us, the acknowledgement that re-entry is part of a missionary service.
Yes.
And they're telling us it's the hardest bit, and we're finding that true. But we're also really encouraged in that. Yeah.
So I guess at the moment we don't really have a place to stay long term yet. You could please pray for us that God would clearly show us where and what he wants us to do. We really have no idea even on where to settle, and we're just finding that really, really tough at the moment. At the moment, there's just so many unknowns for us, and it's testing our faith, but we do know that God has been looking after us in every step of the way. I mean, our story on getting back to Australia was just, God was just opening the door and it would just close behind us all the way back in. Our newsletter talks to that a bit. Part of us really needs to heal emotionally. It was really tough just walking out of PNG. There's, as I said before, a lot of things were just left undone. And we need to really learn what it is to come back into Australian culture, relearn Australian culture, and work out what it looks like for us going forward. So for us, it's a challenge, but those would be fantastic things to pray for.
So thank you so much for sharing. And you're going to have an opportunity in our Sunday evening gathering. So for those of you who are listening online, if you'd like an invite, just message me at office@carterfightsbaptist.org.au, and you can hear some more from James and Natalie as they share. And James will also be sharing a devotion with us then. Thank you so much. And it's been a privilege sharing with you this afternoon.